Hello, everybody. Today I'll be reading a story about Greek mythology from the book Goddess Power by Yung In Chae. The story I'm reading today is about the goddess Gaia, a very ancient Greek goddess. So let's find out who she is. In the beginning, there was chaos, nothing else. Then out of that chaos appeared a goddess named Gaia. Gaia was the goddess of the earth, and she was the earth. It was from her that anything with even a little bit of life came forth. Plants and animals and mortals and deities. She was the true beginning of all things. This meant that she was the ancestor of the Olympians, the 12 gods and goddesses who called snow-capped, cloud-wrapped Mount Olympus home. But before the Olympians ever ruled the sky and earth and sea and underworld, there were the primordial deities, the gods and goddesses who came immediately after Gaia. And this is where our story begins. The first thing to emerge after Gaia was not a deity. It was Tartarus, the gloomy dungeon so far below that it takes the same amount of time to get there from Earth as it does to get to the farthest reaches of sky. Then Eros, love, arrived to bring immeasurable joy and pain, followed by Erebus, darkness, and Nyx, the night. Nyx birthed ether, light, and Hemera, the day. All of this was happening, and Gaia got to work. She could achieve a lot very quickly, in part because she possessed the remarkable ability to have children without help. That's how she brought forth the Urea, the mountains, and Pontus, the sea. But if she chose to, she could have a father for her children rather than have them by herself. Pontus fathered 5 of Gaia's children, who, like him, became sea gods and goddesses: Nereus, Thaumas, Phrosis, Ceto, and Eurybia. Gaia would get a bit chilly at night, so next she created Uranus, who embodied the heavens brimming with stars to cover her like a blanket. They married and they held 12 children who were the original Titans, 6 girls and 6 boys. Their names were Oceanus, Zeus, Crius, Hyperion, Iapetus, Theia, Rhea, Themis, Mnemosyne, Phoebe, Thetis, and the youngest with the temperament of a starved beast, Kronos. But Gaia wanted still more children with Uranus. Next, she gave birth to 3 Cyclopes: Brontes, Steropes, and Arges. Although the Cyclopes were massive beings, what truly set them apart was the single eye blinking in the middle of their forehead. They were skilled craftsmen and could create the most splendid tools and weapons. Gaia then birthed 3 more children called Cottus, Briareos, and Gyges, together known as the Hecatoncres. They were strong, towering giants with 50 heads and 100 arms each. Gaia loved every one of her children, even more so because of their oddness. Uranus didn't feel the same way. He liked the Titans just fine, but he couldn't look at the Cyclopes and the Hecatoncres without his stomach flying up to his throat. He hated it almost as much as he hated the fact that Gaia didn't actually need him to father anyone. Eventually, he decided that he wouldn't put up with his sons, reminders of his weakness, any longer. While Gaia was elsewhere, Uranos locked up the Cyclopes and the Ekatonkeres in a dark, damp Tartarus. But even without seeing the treacherous act, Gaia could hear her son's wails ringing in her ears, feel them jumping and beating the walls of Tartarus in her chest. She rushed to Uranos and shouted at him to let them go. Then she tried to reason with him. Finally, she begged, but he steadfastly refused. Gaia felt as though she were drying up and cracking open. Her heart hurt at the loss of her children. Her head hurt from witnessing the depths of her husband's cruelty. But when she reached into her grief, she found at the center a solid, unyielding truth. She had to save her sons. And to do that, she had to get rid of their father. Her hunger for justice gave Gaia the strength to devise a plan. First, she made a large piece of flint and used it to fashion a sickle. Then she gathered her other children, the Titans, and announced that she had an important task for them. Your father has imprisoned your brothers, the glorious Cyclopes and Ekatonkeres. He has trapped them deep in Tartarus, a place that no light touches and no sound reaches. My poor children, born from such a father, who among you wishes to right this wrong? She held up the sickle. Its curved, jagged blade looked like a crescent moon with teeth. 11 of the Titans looked away, unsure if they dared harm their own father. But Kronos stepped forward, palm outstretched. I'll do it, mother. A father who would do such an evil deed is no father of mine, he said. Gaia smiled and handed him the sickle. Gaia and Kronos returned home, whereupon Kronos hid nearby while Gaia prepared to pretend that she had swallowed her sadness. When Uranos approached, Gaia extended her arms as if to embrace him. But the second he got close, open and vulnerable, Kronos jumped out from his hiding place and slashed his father with the sickle. Blood poured from Uranos. Some of it fell on the earth like drops of rain. Where the blood landed, new life sprouted like the first flowers of spring. From one spot burst forth the Erinyes, or Furies, goddesses of revenge who fly around torturing wrongdoers. Armor-clad giants clambered out of another spot, followed by 3 nymphs called the Meliae. A piece of Uranos' flesh tumbled into the sea and turned into an imported goddess called Aphrodite. As for Uranos, the last anyone saw of him was as he slunk away in shame, clutching at his wounds. After that, nobody ever heard from him again. This is the end of the story of Gaia that I read from the book Goddess Power. I hope you enjoyed it.